I wanted to show this video and discuss it, just because it's a video in which we hear somebody who is affiliated with such bodies as the World Economic Forum and the Club of Rome and other such powerful entities, and who has written books about this subject. It's no, he's not keeping it under wraps, and none of the people who talk about this, who tend to be incredibly powerful people, who tend to be oligarchic kind of figures. By oligarchic, I mean they have power, but they have a great deal of power, but they haven't been appointed to that power, to have power by anyone. They certainly haven't been elected, yet still, nevertheless, they have more power, they have more control over what becomes law, over what the rest of us have to, the kind of society the rest of us have to accept. Now, that's not to say we are powerless before them. It's not to say that we can't push back against them, and that we can and should push back against them. But just to say that they occupy these positions of power, and we ignore them. We ignore who they are. We ignore the fact of their power at our peril. And in this video, this person who I'm going to show a few minutes of, his name is Dennis L. Meadows. He's affiliated. He's not a big name person. You probably haven't heard of him. I hadn't heard of him before I saw this video. But he's written several books. He's an academic, and let's just listen to him talk about what is the pet project of these oligarchic elites, which is depopulation. And this is not a tinfoil hat. This is not paranoia. This is not conspiracy theory. This is, something that there is ample evidence of, and it's something that the fact that this is a big part of their agenda, if not the main part of their agenda. So let's hear this guy talk about depopulation. Oops.
We're able to edit out all of We're able to edit out all of the stuff you don't like. I can speak honestly. So usually speaking, something which happened in the past could happen again, generally. So that could happen, or epidemics. I mean, I don't know what it would be, but in one way or another, we are so far globally. We are so far above the population and the consumption levels which can be supported by this planet that I know in one way or another it's going to come back down. So I don't hope to avoid that.
Okay, so again, if you want to just watch this video uninterrupted, I will provide the link. But notice what he's saying here. Something is going to happen. It's just inevitable. It's just inevitable. Maybe it'll be epidemic. Maybe it'll be something else. But something's going to happen because we are above the level of where we can sustain ourselves. That's what he's saying here. Do you not already see a contradiction? Whatever the number of people there are in the world, we are able to sustain ourselves at this number. Are there places in the world where people are malnourished or where there's not enough food for them? Yes, of course. But there's no evidence that the Earth's population at the level that it's at right now can't sustain itself based on the Earth's resources. And there's no evidence that again, I've made this point before. You say you think you're shown things like some dirt poor tenement establishment somewhere in New Delhi or something like that, and you see tons of people packed together, and you think, oh my God, overpopulation is such a problem. But I could drive 5 minutes away from where I live, open countryside for miles and miles and miles and miles, and I don't even live in one of the less populated areas of the United States. There are states of the Union where you can drive for miles and miles and miles and miles and miles, and there's nobody. There's nothing but forest, nothing but the virgin land, undeveloped, and that doesn't even that's not even talking about the less populated places in the world. There is plenty of land. There is plenty of room. But this person, this Dennis L. Meadows, wants to establish immediately that we are in a crisis already because there's just too many people, and the Earth can't sustain the amount of people that there are. Well, that's an obvious lie, because it is sustaining the number of people that there are, and it could sustain many, many more people. All right.
I hope that it can occur in a civil way.
All right. So he hopes it can occur in a civil way. He's talking about depopulation. How can that happen in a civil way? Well, I guess you could just make it so that people aren't reproducing anymore, or reproducing far less. But how do you do that? Well, take a look around and see how male sperm count has dropped. That's something I don't think that is even in dispute. Why has that happened? How has that happened? Has that been an accident? Is it an accident that the particular type of medication that they want everybody in the world to take, that they say is safe and effective to get this thing shot in your arm, that one of the results of it is to destabilize fertility? Again, I've talked before. I've gone on and on about how nearly everything that they broadcast to us, every aspect of the ideology that they project to us, whether it has to do with sexual liberation or feminism or homosexuality or transgenderism, those are all just, in my view, means to an end, and the end that they're seeking is depopulation. And I've talked about that in a prior video. But anyway, he wants to see. He hopes it can happen. He says, in a civil way. Is he being honest here? Maybe he's being honest. But how can it really happen in a civil? How do you reduce the population by 7/8 of what it is, which is what he says it should be, the way in which he says it should be reduced, as we'll see? How does that happen in a civilized manner? How does that happen absent of something resembling genocide?
I mean civil in a special way. Peaceful. Peace doesn't mean that everybody's happy. The planet can support something like 1 billion people.
Oh, the planet is supporting how, I don't know if the numbers are right, but if the numbers are right, we've got what, 7 billion, 8 billion people now? The planet, you're telling me the planet's not supporting the population that we've got now? It's just the contradiction there. It's not that the planet, it's not that they claim to have humanitarian reasons for favoring depopulation. But that is a lie. That is a barefaced, bold-faced lie. Maybe it's something this guy actually believes. He doesn't sound like he's insincere when he's talking right now, but it's just, I'm not, and the thing about it, well, I'm not saying everybody will be peaceful, but I'm not saying everybody will be happy. Yeah, well, when you're getting killed off, or when your family's getting killed off around you, or when you're being best case scenario, when you're enduring forced sterilization, maybe you won't be happy, but it'll be peaceful. All right. Anyway, this schmuck.
Maybe 2 billion, depending on how much liberty and how much material consumption you want to have. If you want more liberty and more consumption, you have to have fewer people. And conversely, you can have more people. I mean, we could even have 8 or 9 billion, probably, if we have a very strong dictatorship, which is smart. But if you had a smart dictatorship and a low standard of living, you can have it. But we want to have freedom and we want to have a high census, so we're going to have 1 billion people.
Okay, we're going to have 1 billion people. He just says that. He says, yep, this is what's going to happen. We're going to have 1 billion people. We're going to make sure that we reduce the population to around the rate of roughly 1/8 of what it is right now. Yeah, I'll just keep playing.
And we're now at 7, so we have to get back down. I hope that this can be slow, relatively slow, and that it can be done in a way which is relatively equal, so that people share the experience. But that's what lies ahead.
I hope it can be done slow and in a way that's relatively equal, so that everyone shares the burden. But that's what lies ahead. He talks about it as if it were an inevitability, and yet it's certainly not an inevitability. It's something that has to be made to happen. Do you understand why this is worth me harping on here? This is disingenuous rhetoric. Again, he sounds sincere. And maybe he sincerely thinks that this is the best plan for humanity. But there's some dishonesty here somewhere, because on the one hand he talks about how this has just got to happen because it's the earth, all this Malthusian crap. Thomas Malthus was wrong about everything. He was the one who first theorized that people reproduce exponentially, food does not grow exponentially, so eventually there'll be this mass starvation once the population reaches a certain level. That hasn't happened. Have there been places in the world where people have starved? Yes, but it hasn't been because the earth hasn't sustained or can't sustain this level of this number of people. It's happened for other reasons. Sometimes it's happened for sheer political reason, like the starvation of the Ukraine by the Soviet Union, the Holodomor, just to take one egregious example of a mass starvation event. But clowns like this guy, They talk like it's just an inevitability, it has to happen, but he also says this is where it needs to go. So which is it? Is it something that's just going to happen no matter what? Like Malthus would say, it's going to happen. That it was going to happen no matter what. It was we're going to people are just going to start dying of starvation because the Earth can't sustain more than X number of people. Well, that wasn't true. That didn't happen. That hasn't happened, even though the population has grown exponentially since then. So what seems to be the truth is that they want it to happen. They want there to be fewer people. Again, I keep going back to the Georgia Guidestones. Here it's 1 billion people. That's his recommendation. But the Georgia Guidestones cuts that number in half. Says we should have around only 500 million people. Okay. So what are the methods that they're planning on? They're saying this has to happen. What are the methods that they're planning on using to make the population decrease so thoroughly? So dramatically. How are they going to make that happen? How? Ask yourself that question as you consider certain facts on the ground today. Ask yourself why is fertility down? Why is the fertility rate down? Why is everything conspiring to convince people to not reproduce, or if they have to reproduce far less? Why are they telling women to wait, that your career is what's all important, that you're demeaning yourself as a human being if you want to be a mother, if you want to be a young wife and a mother? You should wait until you're in your late 30s and then maybe have a kid, if you can, by that time, after your career has been established. Or you should just be gay and not reproduce. Or you should change your gender and then not reproduce. You see, these are all the things that are, they all work in tandem. It's easy to see the broader goal of all of these ideologies, all these things that they are trying to promote. And here you get it right from the horse's ass's mouth, what the plan is. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. Handy Nowicki, altrightnovelist.com.